Tonight's episode of the 31st Lap Podcast is brought to you by DirtTrackDigest.com. If it's on dirt, it's on Dirt Track Digest.
This is the 31st Lap Podcast, recorded live in the studios of FingerLakes1.com in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now, your hosts, Chris Marquardt.
Saturday morning, go home Saturday night, whatever.
Right.
And set up
You can
and record it, and it'd be so cool.
Well, it's something we can look into. Welcome to the clicked on the wrong things. I was thinking too much about the conversation that we're having with Jon Pellicane as we move into episode number 208 of the 31st Lap. Good to have Jon Pellicane along with us. He's got some great ideas about places where we can get out on the road and check out some of the drag racing stuff. John, man, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hey, we got you. We got you just fine. Hopefully you can hear me all right. We were just talking a little bit about some of the racing that you do locally and nationally last year, going out of state 17 times to run with NHRA stuff. You picked up a couple Wallies. You've been at the 4-Wide Nationals already this year. You had the chance to go to Las Vegas for the year-end NHRA banquet because you won the points finally. Racing's in your blood, man, for sure, with the sounds of things.
Yeah, we my wife races, and my father-in-law races. The wife hasn't raced, actually, in a few years since we've had kids, but my father-in-law has been racing for 40 years, and my daughter, Alana, just started racing this year. We got her a junior dragster, so she started doing it, and it's just kind of what we do, you know. I
saw the pictures of the junior dragster. It's a pretty good-looking car.
Oh, yeah, it's a really, really good car, actually, yeah. She's enjoying it. She's learning, but she's been around it since she was, literally a few months old, so
right.
She's picking up on it quite quickly.
Now, you've been around it, you said, for basically better than half your life now.
I've been around this, yeah. I started in 93, 94-ish. I've been racing pretty heavily since I was about 15, 16, and then the last probably 6 or 7 years I've been doing division stuff, so I've been racing once or twice a month, and then the last 3 years I ran a full schedule. You know what I mean? So that was quite the experience.
How tough is it? I mean, we talk a lot about budgets and stuff on the 31st Lap with Sportsman guys and 360 guys and what it takes to do a season, but of course that's dirt track. That's going around in circles and turning left. You've got far fewer options in terms of drag strips, and if you want to go and make any money at it, you've got to get in the truck and travel. How difficult is it to follow a full schedule in the super gas division that you run in?
Well, it's there's a lot of different ways to look at it because with NHRA, you can run the NHRA Lucas Oil Series, which, when you win an NHRA points meet or the division championship or a national event or a world championship, that's kind of like the top of the pile. I mean, it's the big deal. It just takes a lot of devotion. I mean, it's a lot of time off work. It's I got a pretty good vacation time and whatnot, but you really got to want to do it. I mean, you devote everything to it. I mean, me and my family don't go on extravagant vacations every year or anything. We just race. But, I mean, as far as, like you were asking me, the big money races, if I didn't want to chase the division level of stuff and run for Wallies and get my name out there, I can go race for – there's big money bracket races all over the country, and literally you can race for $50,000 2 or 3 times in one weekend, or you could race for $500,000. And they're all over every other weekend. They're just all over the place.
That's crazy.
$10,000 to win, $50,000 to win, $100,000 to win. It's just the type of what kind of racing you want to do, or what you want to race for. Some people just race for the money, the big money races. I like to be in the big show, which is NHRA.
Right.
So it's just all what you personally where you want to set yourself.
Now here locally, you run. There's a couple different tiers that people can run locally. You spend most of your time in Tier 1, and then we were also talking about the 990 class, where you have to be so precise and consistent in order to be successful in that. It's not even just the same as bracket racing per se, correct?
Well, it is in a sense where it's a dial.
Right.
With bracket racing, you can dial whatever you want. Okay. With 990 is the dial. So it's you both leave at the same time. Most cars to run 990 are actually capable of running in the mid 8-second to low 8-second range at a high 160 mile per hour. But we have throttle stops in our car that are all digitally programmed, and we could program the slow. When they leave a start line, we could program to slow them down, and then they for so many seconds, and then they take off and do their thing. But you got to follow the weather, and I mean it's drag racing is far from unless you're running top fuel or funny cars. Drag racing is far from just who gets it first. It's a numbers game. It's a cards game, and you just got to be good. I have to be a crew chief. I have to be a driver. I have to be a truck driver to drive myself there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have to be a weatherman. You know what I mean? Watching the weather and the barometer and humidity and water drains, and it's just there's a lot involved with what we do.
Right.
Sometimes it gets overwhelming when you try to explain it to people, but it's really not too bad.
It's probably second nature, no different than anybody that does circle track stuff at the dirt level or at the asphalt level. If you've grown up around it, then it's second nature. It's just automatic. You don't even give a second thought to it because you just learned it for so long.
Absolutely. I mean, if I go to a circle track race, I don't even understand heats. I don't know. It's just over my head. But it is second nature. I mean, I started years and years and years ago. But it's still hard. It's still hard. There's times when I go out, like last weekend, I was in Cecil County, Maryland, and I got bust. I lost first round. I missed the dial. I missed the setup with my throttle stop. I missed reading the air correctly and knowing what horsepower I was going to make and how to set the car up. And, it's just, we're talking about 100th or less of a second is in drag racing is a half an hour. So, it's very, very split hair, so to say, kind of a deal. And so even though I've been doing it a long time, it's still not easy. Like when you race at the division level, you race, a 1 or 2 time runs Friday and then a time run Saturday and then, and then you run 2 eliminations Saturday and then the rest on Sunday. Where if you race Saturday night at, your local drag strip, you make all your time runs, in the afternoon and then you race first round and then you race all night. So the weather doesn't change as much. Mm-hmm. So it's a little easier to follow, but I mean, it is kind of second nature, but still not easy,
So how many slide rules and abacuses does it take to go through the equations to figure that out?
Oh, well, it's man, that's a tough question. There's computer programs you can buy.
Yeah. And
the computer programs are basically laws of physics. Okay, mm-hmm. It's just like it's corrected altitude. Just like if you dyno an engine,
sure.
In New Jersey or on the coast, if you dyno an engine and it makes 500 horsepower at sea level, if you take that same engine and you go to Denver, Colorado, to an engine shop, or Vegas, where you're at 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 feet of corrected altitude, and there's less oxygen, without a corrected formula, that motor is not going to make 500 horsepower. It's going to make 390.
Right.
But they have a formula that says, okay, we're going to correct this, and it's still going to make 500 horsepower with this air because of the corrected altitude. It originally started out with aviation,
sure.
Just like an airplane. When an airplane's on the ground, it's making this much power. But when they get up at 12,000 feet, they got to compensate with their engines because there's less oxygen. And that formula is just a math equation, and there's computer programs you can buy with prediction software that, we can use on our laptop that, it monitors the weather and blah, blah, blah. And when you put your data in there, it'll spit a prediction on how you should set your throttle setup. It throws you a number, but you still got to give it good information, and you still got to use your gut, your gut feeling of
how often is it that your gut is more right than the computer? I mean, do you tend to follow?
A lot. A lot, because computer's giving you a number that's in a perfect world.
Right.
Okay, in a perfect world with no other variables, no tire spin, no nothing. This is the correct number. But there's a million variables, just like in any other sport, demolition derby, circle tracks, anything. then you got to know, you know what, at this time of the day with the sun setting down, and you still kind of need to know where you're at and trust your gut. I mean, the computer steered me in the right direction tons, and it does a lot of the homework for me, logbook and this and that, but you still got to, get back to basics and use your 20 years of knowledge or et cetera, you know what I mean?
So tell me what Las Vegas was like. I mean,
easy, trust me. I've been successful. This year I haven't done crap, to be honest with you. But no, I really haven't. And I mean, I'm in the top 10 in the division, but there's guys out there that make me look pitiful. I mean, they're machines at it, But it's like anything else. There's always someone better. So that's racing.
This type of racing where it's not just raw speed and horsepower, get to the finish line as fast as possible. If you're the first one there, then you win. There's more science to it than that, and you really need to be precise and calculate it out so that you don't break out and go beyond what your times were, or in this case, beat the 990 or whatever.
Yep, there's a lot of. I mean, you could set your car up however you want, as fast as you want, but the object is obviously not to break out. And if you think you're going to break out or he's going to break out, it's whoever breaks out by less.
Right.
And sometimes in this, nowadays it's, I've give the finish line up. If I think I'm going to break out and my opponent's next to me, obviously he's going out, I'll let him go through first.
Right.
I'll jump on the brakes or do whatever I got to do to let him go through first, slow myself back down to 990, and he goes 988 and I get the W,
Sure.
So it's a big cards game.
But is it?
It really is. It's a lot to take in, but it's fun,
Given all those different variables and how much input that the driver has, is it just a money game? The person that has the most money is going to have the most technology, therefore the best information, or can an underdog win it?
Absolutely not. I think I shouldn't say that. There's a small percentage. If you got a guy out there that is a horrible driver or doesn't really have a clue how to set anything up or know how to drive the finish line or drive the car the right way or and he's got brand new awesome equipment, that's going to help a little bit for consistency, but it means virtually nothing. I mean, you got a guy that has a low budget that's got a very consistent car that knows how to dial it, that knows how to drive. He's going to murder you. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter how shiny your paint is, how new your chassis is, how fancy wheels you got, how big of a rig and hauler you have. That doesn't mean nothing at all.
So tell me more about Super Gas. You've got a Roadster. It's a fiberglass body Corvette. It's an open cockpit car. It's basically got a cage around it for safety, mostly to make you feel good. The car can clock out over 160 miles an hour.
It's a chromoly tube chassis car built by Spitzer Race Cars in Indiana, 2013 car, 108-inch wheelbase. It's got a 1,000-horse, 572-inch big block Chevy. And the car with me in it weighs like 2,240.
Wow.
2,240 pounds. And it's got a one-piece flip-up body. So you just pull a lever in the front and the whole body tips up so you can get at the whole chassis, the cockpit, the wiring, everything. It's pretty handy. And that seems to be the weapon of choice in Super Gas, because you have really good visibility going down track to watch your opponent and, play the game, so to say. It's a lot of fun to drive. I shut my car down for 2.5 seconds on the track, and I still go 990 at over 160 miles an hour. It's a pretty big rush.
So you've had the chance to run all over the country now. In one of the couple of the images that you had on your Facebook page, you were in the 4-Wide Nationals, which is a completely different animal, even more so than just what a lot of people are probably thinking when they see NHRA drag racing. It's not just raw speed. You're worrying about time. Now you got 3 other guys on the track with you in a car that has plenty of visibility where you can see everybody.
Well, here's what they did with that. When we went to the 4-Wides, they run the pros. When I say pros, Top Fuel, Funny Car, and Pro Stock, the classes that you see on TV every week, they run the pros 4-wide. Sportsman guys will run us on a 2-lane elimination. But this year, 2016, they wanted to run all of our qualifying runs on a 4-wide format.
Right.
So they decided to air Super Gas. Okay? So we all go out there, and they said, okay, this is how you got to do this. This is the lane you're going to be in. Remember, you can't get ready to, bring your car up in the converter or chip till everybody's stage and blah, blah, blah. And we're going to film it. So, most people were like, oh, this is cool. And, we're going to be on TV. But they only filmed, I don't know, like one or two sets of cars going down the track. And that night, I was sitting in the pits, and, of course, my phone started going off that, hey, man, you're on TV. So out of, 75 cars or 80 cars, I was one of the 4 that made it on TV when they talked about, hey, we're letting some sportsman guys go down the track 4 wide. And rumor has it next year they were going to run 4 wide, super gas, super comp, all the sportsman categories. But, who knows what that's going to be.
What designates
We won't use that national event for national points because it's kind of a weird deal.
Right.
So it'll be an optional deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you're chasing points for a world championship, because it's so kind of different, it kind of throws a loop in it, they won't count that race as a, for points nationally.
On the topic
It's kind of for the glory.
On the topic of points, you brought home a championship last year for the division and got to go to Las Vegas.
Actually, yes. It wasn't Vegas. I was in the Ray Dolby Theater in Hollywood for the NHRA National Banquet.
Okay, I misunderstood.
Yeah, that's okay. My sister lives out there, so we got to go out there and go to the banquet, the national banquet, and sit with all the pros and experience it, and the red carpet deal, and it was wild. I mean, it was like going to a NASCAR banquet. It was the real deal, and I was sitting there, because I ended up 3rd in the world, so it was very exciting.
3rd in the world.
I never thought last year that if you would have said I was going to top 10 the world, get over here, Walt. Last year, my dog's trying to get away here. If someone would have said, John, you're going to top 10 the world, I would have probably laughed at you because it's so hard. I mean, there's like 1,100 cars in my class from coast to coast.
Right.
You know what I mean? I just never knew that last year was going to be the year when it was going to happen for me.
And you went to New Jersey?
It changed everything, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It changes everything. When you make it to the top like that, everybody looks at you different. Everybody kind of wants to... It's just one of those things. The best way I've explained it to people is, I mean, when you show up at the track, no matter where I am in the country, they'll know who I am. Mm-hmm. I'm not the best guy in super gas, but they're going to know who I am. Right. Anywhere coast to coast, and that's kind of a weird feeling. And being number 3, everybody wants to wear the single digit on their car because anyone in the top 10, they give you the single digit rather than your registration number. So I got to wear the number 3 this year. There's only 9 people in the country with a single digit in my class, and so me being one of them I was honored to do that. So once you do it, it was kind of like when you're a kid and you want to get something for Christmas and you get it, and then you don't know what to think or say.
Right.
But months prior to that, you're overly excited about it. It's kind of overwhelming,
Right. So, I mean, you go into some of these places now. This year, you've had you said that you're struggling a little bit. I still think it's remarkable that you're traveling the way that you do. 17 times out of state last year, and you're well on pace to do the same thing this year?
This year I'm going to have at least, let me think. I'm going to have 9 division races. I'm going to have probably 3 or 4 nationals. So, 14-ish, something like that. Yeah, I mean, last year I was leading the world championship in September, or was it August? And, when you're leading the world, and you could do 6 nationals. There's 24 nationals. You could do 6, and they count the best 3 of 6. So after you're 3, you're just bettering points for the last 3. So you take the best 3 of 6. And I was leading the world after I went to the U.S. Nationals in Indy. I had to kind of step back and look at my schedule and say, well, I can't give up now. I got to go to, I ended up going to St. Louis, and then, I was in Maple Grove last fall, Pennsylvania, for the Keystone Nationals. But it just changes the whole game. So I wasn't intending to do that last year, but when you start running hot real early, you just got to keep going.
Right.
You can't stop because you know what I mean. I mean, it was like right there in front of me.
So in terms of what you do here locally at home, do you still mess around with any of the local tracks at this point? I know we've
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Empire Dragway is 20 minutes from me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really do a lot of bracket racing anymore. I mean, some say I should, and I guess that's just personal preference. I just, like I said, I had a 990 series I used to do, and then my buddy took it over, and it pays pretty well, and I usually do I'm pretty successful up there when we run that, and that's once a month or so.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm number 2 right now in points in that, and it's a small little championship deal, but the competition's still tough, for local guys, and it's a good seat time for me, and so I sneak out there once a month, and and get in the car, and because sometimes I do have a few weeks downtime or 3 weeks or whatever, and you gotta stay in the car because there's no substitute for seat time.
I've heard that in every form of motorsport that we've been around. We've talked to sled racers, we've talked to demolition derby drivers, we've talked to circle track racers, asphalt racers, sprint car racers, and now drag racing. Everybody says the same thing. There's no way that you can teach seat time.
You have to get in the car. You gotta. That's one thing about demolition derby that I think hurts those guys is like Andy, and I've known that kid since we're in 4th grade, and I've derbied a little bit, and I follow him a little bit. But he's a good driver, but you spend all year building the car to run it once or twice, and he can run that car the first derby and then sit back, a month later and say, "Oh man, I should have done this. I should have done this. I shouldn't have drove here. I shouldn't have hit him. Whatever." And then by the last derby, the car's bent up, and he's just starting to get comfortable on it.
Right.
You know what I mean? The car's
sure.
On the last leg or whatnot, and he just starts, So that's where I think those guys, they're not quite as fortunate as we are.
We've got some guys that are trying to get reacclimated with a local track here tonight. Rolling Wheels Raceway Park opening again, and this is their season opener tonight, the Summer Broiler 75 for Big Black Modifieds. It's aired on MAV TV, Motorsports Network. Canandaigua Motorsports Park and Rolling Wheels Raceway Park, kind of a venture racing series. So to say, $7,500 to win tonight. Thanks for all the fans that are checking in with us tonight now. I know some of the folks are actually sitting in the grandstands at Rolling Wheels, tuning in with their earbuds in and watching the racing at the same time. $1,500 to win for the Grit Sportsman Series. They're going 30 laps there, 150 to start that one. Crate Late Models 20 laps the distance. $1,000 to win. Gates opened already. They opened at 4:30. Racing just underway over there. Been active for about 8 minutes now. Adult admission was only $25. If you got the time to make the trip over there, it's $25 for adults to get in. Kids under 16 or 5. It's Rolling Wheels Fast Track. Rolling Wheels finally opening up here this year. It looked a little bleak there a couple times for the big blocks and all the series that run over there at Rolling Wheels, having the opportunity to get back. But they are back in action tonight, so make sure you give them a little bit of support and let them know. As I understand it, Jeremy Corcoran has already been spotted trying to get that track up into racing form. So good to see that the track has not been lost. It has not been turned into a Home Depot. It has not been turned into apartments, and they are racing over there. So everybody's got to get reacquainted a little bit with the fast track over there in and a quick message coming in from Ryan Ostrander over there at the fast track in Rolling Wheels. We've talked a little bit about the drag racing stuff. John, have you ever ventured into turning left, or has it all been straight lines?
I've never done it, and I watched it. I actually went down to Lebanon Valley. I'm sure you've heard of that place.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I was at the NHRA divisional there in June, and Saturday night when we were done racing, Saturday evening, me and my buddies all went over and had a beer, and we watched the dirt track racing, and it was fun. It's wild. Still learning a lot. I don't know the difference in the classes or whatnot, but I love to do it. I'd love to go out there with the street stock, but my wife says I'd probably get beat up because I'd be pushing and shoving a little too much.
Right.
But I don't know. Yes, it does look fun though. But I don't know. It'd be fun to try.
Yep. Some more news locally. This might be of interest to you. Pole Position Raceway is offering 4 years of free racing at any of their indoor go-kart facilities if you won a gold medal in Rio. If you were a New York State or New Jersey Olympian and you won the gold medal, you get 4 years of free racing at any one of the locations. We've got locations in Rochester, Syracuse, and Buffalo. So you might run into an Olympic medalist, so to say. At one point, they were offering lifetime complimentary racing for anybody in the 2 states that had broke a world record. Now, I don't know if you've got a world record yet, John, or if a world championship would qualify you to get free racing at either of these facilities. But we've got a bunch of folks from New York, including Emily Regan, McLean Ward, Leah Neal. That's rowing, equestrian, swimming, equestrian rider Elizabeth Madden. She won. Carmelo Anthony, basketball, and won a gold medal. Tina Charles, gold in basketball. Gerald Homer, winning for fencing. Got a silver medal there. Miles Chomley Watson for fencing. Took home a bronze. Matt Anderson from West Seneca getting a bronze in volleyball. So I don't know if any of those apply to you, but perhaps you could bring one of your Wallies down and they offer you at least a night of racing or something. Yeah,
that'd be fun. Absolutely. I've heard about that place, Rochester. I've never actually been there, though. Yeah, in Buffalo also. I just never did it yet.
I'd like to go. They've had different media events and stuff like that where these are the fastest go-karts on the East Coast. And unfortunately, you have to do basically a road course. They don't let you drag race them. But I mean, I would imagine that you could find
still fun.
find a particular degree of comfort level after a couple laps in it, John.
Oh sure. Oh yeah. I think I could get myself through it.
For sure. Do you still I've talked with Andy before, and I've talked with Josh Decker before, and I've talked to a bunch of different guys that run circle track at various different levels between modifieds and sportsmen and stuff. And some of them say, I've never been nervous a day in my life. Some of them who've been doing this for 20 years say, I still get the bubble guts before I go out onto the line. What about you? I mean, you've been doing this for so long. You've been doing it at so many different levels, be it some places 20 minutes from home, be it it's in St. Louis, halfway across the country. Do you still have butterflies and stuff? Is it still exciting for you?
Oh, God. I would say most of the time, 90% of the time after all these years, you absolutely, before first round, get butterflies.
Yeah.
You know, and, oh, absolutely. And last year, you know, when I led the division from April until July, and then a buddy of mine leapfrogged me in points.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that was the best thing that happened to me because it made me hungrier. Right. I had already won 2 division races. I won Maple Grove and Norwalk, and we had an idea to go down to Bowling Green for the Division 3 points race because you can claim 2 out of division races, which is actually this weekend. But we went to Bowling Green. I ended up winning that, took the division back over, the lead, by a pretty good stretch, and then we left there and went up to Indy to the U.S. Nationals. But what I'm trying to get at is having the pressure of that was even worse. Like, excuse me, especially even leaving the World Championship. Like, you know, there's 2 months left of the season. You know, it's getting down to the nitty and gritty, and I was number 1 in points in the world, and it was very, very hard, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, extremely hard, and that's something you can only learn from experiencing it. I mean, you get butterflies no matter where you race, you know, local track, division level. It doesn't matter. You're always going to get, well, geez, I hope I do my job first round and you know, get to turn the beacon on the finish line. But when you know that if you do your job and things go your way, you might have a world championship sitting in your lap. Oh my God. It's brutal, to be honest with you.
So you can
got to learn how to harness that nervousness into positive, you know, energy. It was just tough because I left Columbus last year. We went to Columbus to the JEGS Sports Nationals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, me and the whole family were down there, and from there I had to go to St. Louis, and the family went home. And then Monday morning I loaded up and I drove all the way to St. Louis by myself. You know, chasing a world championship. So I was all the way out there, you know, by myself, which I was okay, but first round, here I am 16 hours from home, thinking, oh my God, if I lose first round, I'm packing up, I'm going home. I mean, it was a lot of pressure.
Right.
I ended up going to the 4th round before I got beat, but, yeah, it's definitely, for me, I still get some butterflies.
Did that pressure increase now that you've got the 3 on the side of the car?
It's funny you asked that. I think that's different for everybody.
Yeah.
Because I think now that I'm a Division I champion in Super Gas, that in a sense it's like I feel really relieved, kind of like, okay, I did it. So it took some pressure off me. But on the same note, that could be a bad thing. Like sometimes pressure keeps you focused a little more. So this year, I think that's why it's been tough for me, because I feel like I'm still having fun, but it was so much traveling last year that I jumped right back into it, in March or whatever, that I kind of got burned out a little bit. You know what I mean? And so I want to say that I don't have as much pressure right now on me. No, I don't, because obviously I'm not even nowhere near a world championship this year. My national score is crap, and the division I want to stay in the top 10. But I think after winning it overall, it's taken pressure off me. But that doesn't mean I don't get butterflies anymore. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I understand.
Last year, through the whole season, I was just so hungry to win the division that, like, my buddy he telling me, he races also, he's like, listen, John, he's like, forget about the points. Do your job. Well, it's easier said than done.
So what's next for you at this point?
I have a local. I think I have a local Super Gas race at Leicester the first week of September, I think, and then I go to Englishtown, New Jersey, for my last Division I points meet, and then I think in October I have another 990 race, and there's Maple Grove, Pennsylvania, which is they used to call it the Keystone Nationals, which will be on television.
Okay.
We hit that national just because it's only 6 hours away. You know what I mean?
You can't not go.
Yeah, exactly. And it's fun. National events are fun. It's fun to go there. Even though I'm a sports racer, I get to go see John Force, and all the guys you see on TV, they're right there with me, and I get to go up in the start line if I want and watch. It's pretty exciting, actually.
That's crazy.
Like we have our credentials, and we can just go stand right pretty much on the starting line while all the pros come down, and you'll see all the cameras come around and filming, and you're standing there, and they just look at you like you're just another racer. You know what I mean? You're just one of those guys. At first, it was really weird because you're hanging out with all the guys you see on TV, but after a while, you kind of, sometimes you get to know a few of them and not. They wave to you all the time, and they recognize you, and they're just another person, just like me or you.
That's
but
cool.
It's cool. It's really cool.
You mentioned a little bit ago is that only 6 national points races will count, but if you go and enter them, do you have to count that one? Can you pocket those and you just turn in your best 6 if you want to run 10 of them, or once you run them, they're locked in?
They're gonna, for division. I'll start with the division. For the division level, Division I has 7 division races. They take the best 5 out of 7. They drop the 2 worst. Okay. The division points go towards your national points. Okay, so that score is going to add to your national score. So then your nationals, they take the best 3 of 6. You could do 20 of them, but only only 6 are going to count. Well,
Right.
I mean, I shouldn't say that. Only 3 are going to count. You could do 6, but they take best 3 of 6. You could run the whole circuit, but you're just running for the money and the walleye.
Right.
For points, you're only going to get the best 3 of 6. You follow me?
Yep, I'm with you. Yep.
So, I mean, I know some people that run 20 races a year. Local racer Dan Fletcher is one of the most successful racers in the whole world. He has the winningest car, I want to say, in all motorsports. Dan's out of Churchville, and I think he's on number 98 national event.
Wow.
He's almost hit 100. I think John Force is on 124, but I think he's in the top 3 or 4 of national event winners. That's out of the pros, and he's a sportsman racer, and he's right out of Churchville, New York. He's sponsored by Peak Auto.
How cool.
He has 4 race cars. He's one of the best in the world, actually. But he runs the whole full circuit. I think he does, 20 national events and probably half a dozen divisionals.
That's impressive. I didn't realize that we had.
Crazy.
Didn't realize we had that kind of support local.
Oh yeah. He's right in Churchville, New York. Danny Fletcher. Google his name tonight, and he's a drag racing icon. He's the best sportsman racer probably ever has been. I mean, in the whole the whole world, actually.
That's the thing is
for the last 25 years.
The drag racing thing has always been appealing to me. So I mean, I like watching NHRA on TV, but again, it's NHRA national. We're talking about Pro Stock, Top Fuel, and Funny Cars. That's what I'm accustomed to seeing. We've got other stuff in underneath the umbrella of drag racing that you've kind of turned us on to a little bit. I'm certainly interested in going to a local track and learning more about it. I like it. It's something that I'd like to do more with. We just haven't had
you'd
as
have
many
a blast.
opportunities.
If I could get you to come out and set up a camera or whatever you want to do for a couple hours, and you can hang out with me and my buddy Jason Oldfield, who puts a series together. It would just be a lot of fun. It'd be good exposure for everybody. You'd learn a lot. I mean, it's just a local deal, but you can get a taste of kind of what we do in the pits, how things work, and how it goes. I mean, that's something that the sport needs,
Now, when is that one?
I can find out right now for you, but hold on. Let me just look. Kerry, when's the next 990 race at home? Is that? Let me just look at his calendar, but hold on one second.
All right. Well, he's looking up that.
She's thinking it's the 18th.
18th?
Which is a Sunday.
Sunday.
I can double check for you on that one.
Sunday, September 18th.
And what day it is, I'll let you know for sure.
And that's
that'd be a lot of fun.
And that's right in Leicester?
I can introduce you to the track owner. I'm sure he won't have a problem with it because it's more exposure for him.
Right.
Jerry Skash at Empire Dragway, and you can get your feet wet with this. I mean, there's a lot here on the table,
Yeah, definitely.
And that's what sportsman drag racing needs. It needs exposure.
Right on.
Absolutely.
I mean, where there's a will, there's a way. We'll try and figure something out. I'm supposed to be in Buffalo on Saturday for an event with Crash Course. Crash Course is the other show that we host with Josh Decker, Ben Host, and Brian Tompkins on Monday nights. Crash Course is the one that brings you all the Demolition Derby and stuff on FingerLakes1.tv live. And the 31st lap, we actually have we've not been able to do a live race yet just because the dirt track guys, they want to make sure that the fans are in the stands. And, obviously there's a market there to do a pay-per-view version, and I'm sure that we could figure that out. But, I like the idea of helping out and trying to get stuff out there so that as many people as possible can see it. That's one of the logics that we use when we formulated Crash Course, and it's been successful.
Oh, it's
so
awesome!
far.
I watched your derby that was in Ohio. Yeah, you were there, right?
Yeah, Sandusky.
Sandy. Yes, and it was just for someone to sit home and turn that on. It was just you did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
You're announcing, the commentary or whatever.
Right.
It was awesome. And if I can get you to come to a drag strip and we start on that, oh man, that would just be cool. And then maybe eventually I can get you up on the division level and you could touch base with a few divisionals. You know what I mean?
I'm open.
Focus Oil Series. That would be really cool. But I know you have a full schedule, and we'll work on seeing what you can do with that.
Right.
Let's
get to a drag strip first.
Yeah.
I like the way you think, though. Locally, we crowned a couple.
I think big always.
We talked about winning champion.
Also, want to get on the show is PJ North, my buddy.
I'm all for it.
I'm sure Andy talked to you about him.
Yeah, Andy and I talked about him. You were featured in one of his songs.
Yes, I was. He is something. I already talked to him. He said he would come on, or you could call him whenever. He's a great guy. He's in his mid or late 20s. Very talented singer. He lives in Nashville, Tennessee. He actually does country music also.
Right.
And he does a lot of racing songs. And I've already talked to him about, starting to write stuff for other motorsports. It's been mentioned. So that's kind of slowly starting. I mean, the guy's crazy busy, but he's another good sportsman racer that knows everybody in the country. That would be really good to talk to on here.
Hey, man, I'm open to it. I'd be happy to. On the topic of championships, we've crowned a couple here locally. Oswego Speedway capped their season over the weekend. Michael Barnes coming to a somewhat unlikely championship, taking the title away from David Gruhl. He's the 25th different super modified track champion at Oswego, and it's the first for Gary Cyrell Racing. He came into the night 12.5 points behind. He ended up having problems with the distributor cap coming loose. He finished last in his heat, so it put him 18.5 points going into the main. Had to start last in the order. Rallied all the way up and came away with the win, passing Dan O'Connor's and riding it out to win the event. And it was his second win of the season. Oddly, he won the opening one on May the 14th and also won the closer at the end of the year. So congratulations to him. Mike Bond, he picked up his 36th career win at Oswego. It was his 4th of the year. He passed Mike Bruce on lap 23 to pick up the win. Behind him, Dave Cliff raced to 7th and secured the small block division championship at Oswego. It's the second title for Dave Cliff. And Barbo, his car owner, it was Tim Barbo Racing. Tim Barbo won the championship as an owner of Dave Gruhl's car in 2009, and Dave Cliff won the family-owned championship in his family-owned car back in 2010. Saturday at Fulton, Jimmy Phelps, he took a restart on lap 11 to get past Chuck Bauer, and at one point he was up by 2.5 seconds. Final slowdown came late, but the field couldn't do anything with him. Larry White, Ryan Phelps, and Chris Heil were behind Pat Ward in the top 5. Pat Ward again second, Chuck Bauer falling to 5th. Canandaigua rained out. Fulton's got a demolition derby here coming up on Saturday. At Outlaw, Steve Payne won his second of the year over Alan Johnson and Donnie Lawson. Derek Ponziello and Jordan Seary were in the top 5. But Bruno took the sportsman feature, leading Chris Fisher and Dale Welty at the line. Stacey Jackson and Doug Smith were in the top 5 as well. Brian Knowles won his 5th crate late model feature. Wayne Robertson, Jason Knowles chasing him. IFCA's Matt Cole won that one. That was his first win of the year. Laverne Knickerbocker won his 4th street stock feature. Bob Buono, and C.J. Guerreri were chasing him. J.J. Kriegler got his 5th 4-cylinder feature. And Jordan Bacon, who hopefully we're going to be talking to the next couple of weeks, came away with his 7th youth feature with Austin LeBar and Joey Clarkin behind him. Tommy Catalano won the modified feature at Spencer Speedway, but they've also got a drag strip over there at Spencer in Williamson. Darrell Lewis and Mike Leedy were behind him. Billy Coyle won the 50-lap Dave London Memorial, holding off Terry Cheatham and Mitch Wright. It took 5 heats and 2 consolations to turn the field to 26 starters, so heck of a turnout for those over there. It was the most entries in any division in over a decade at Spencer. That was pretty cool. Tim Farrell held off Brandon Allen to win the Super Sixes, and the 4-cylinder main curfew is going to be held tomorrow at the top of the card before they get in action. Tim Kerr put a new car in victory lane. He started 5th at Brewerton and got past Vince Vitale about 5 laps in, and then he had to hold back Pat Ward to win that one. Utica Rome rained out, and Weedsport lost their Legends reunion, and that was going to include the Empire Super Sprints, recognizing all their Hall of Fame inductees. That is going to be moved at some point. Weedsport's going to open again Labor Day weekend with the Super Dirt Car Series for a 100-lap battle, $7,500 to win there, and the sprint car drivers are going to be going 30 laps, paying $2,000 for first in that one. We heard you talking to your dog there a couple times, named Wally, and you had the chance to bring home those Wally championships, the trophies that the NHRA gives out. How meaningful is that? We talked about the track championships for a couple of those guys at Oswego Speedway. We're getting ready to hand out some track championships in the next couple of weeks here locally. How important was it to you, John, to bring home that Wally, that ever so important award that the NHRA hands out?
It was absolutely one of the biggest things that ever happened in my whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, to win an NHRA Wally, the most iconic trophy, I mean, it was unbelievable. My first one was Norwalk, Ohio, and when I won that, when I went through the finish line in the finals and my win light came on, and I knew I got my first Wally, I mean, that was a moment that I literally had thought about for the last 15 years. Oh my God, I want to go out and win a Wally. I want to go out and win a Wally, and then I finally got one. It was unbelievable, and you know what? The money didn't even mean anything. The money meant nothing when it's compared to be able to hold the Wally up in the winner's circle pictures. Those will be with me forever. And not everybody has those. There's guys that've been racing this for years and years and years that never won a division race or a real Wally. So I feel very fortunate to have them. And then when I won the division, you go to the division banquet and they give you a bigger Wally that's gold plated with your name on it, and blah blah blah. And you go up on stage and you do your speech and you hold it. It was a completely incredible moment to be that guy holding that. It's words really can't describe it. I mean, that's the most iconic trophy you can win in drag racing. That's the biggest, the best is the Wally. They started handing those out in the late 60s, and today they're still wanted as much as day one. You know what I mean?
Right. A friend of mine, Rodney McNeil.
I guess I guess it's kind of like winning getting an Oscar if you're an actor.
All right.
The same. It's just the same deal,
In Hollywood, no less.
Exactly. Yep.
A friend of mine, Rod McNeil, he's from Williamson. He lived in Geneva for a little while, and he was in Ontario for a while. He was a drag racer back in the 80s, and he's got 3 of them.
Really?
He's got 3 of them for world record passes, I believe.
He probably runs stock or super stock. Yeah.
And I don't remember what division he ran. I was trying to get him in studio tonight so that you guys could swap old war stories about driving and things along those lines, but he hasn't. He's come a little bit shy in his old age, and he doesn't like getting behind a microphone anymore as much as he used to.
Yeah, it's a whole other to get. Drag racers are like anything. You can be a good racer, anything. To be able to sit down in front of a camera, that's a whole other level. That doesn't really bother me too much. It's fun.
Oh.
But it's not for everybody. It's definitely not for everybody. But yeah, it'd be fun to come out to the studio sometime. I watched you, when Andy and what's his name were on there?
Kenny Swingle.
Yes, Kenny Swingle. Oh. Yeah, it looks like you got a nice little setup there. But
you got an open door, man. Anytime you can make the trip out, or you want to make the trip out, man, you're more than welcome to. It'd be good to have you.
Oh, we love it. It'd be a lot of fun, absolutely. And I'd probably like to bring someone else that's been successful, or someone I can share some stories with, and we'll get out there and we'll do something good for you.
Perfect. Anytime you guys can squeeze it in, you're more than welcome to stop by. Before we finish up here, we're getting right about to the max of what we got here, and again, this will all air again on Finger Lakes Television here with Finger Lakes Community College, in addition to online with Finger Lakes TV, fingerlakes1.tv. Is there anybody that you've got that you want to make mention of that helps you on the car, helps make sure that car gets to all those events that you do all over the country?
Oh, yeah. I want to, say thanks to Kircher Construction with Jimmy Oliver, all my parents, my wife, Lucas Oil, Mickey Thompson Race Tires. They stepped up this year and been helping me out with tires. Without these guys, I wouldn't quite be where I am. Also, VP Race Fuels. Mm-hmm. VP has stepped up and helped me a lot this year with fuel in the car and keeping things going, We'll keep plugging away at it.
How long does a set of tires last on one of these?
That's another funny question. Well, I'll give you the blunt of it. Tires on those cars, Mickey Thompson tells you, they will last 200 runs. Their product is awesome, blah, blah, blah. It'll run 200 passes down the track. My personal opinion, it's a great product. I think that's different for every person with a different car.
Sure.
Different car weights, different tracks. I like to change them at 75 runs, just to stay on the razor's edge.
Right.
Be competitive. But you can run them, 250 passes, 200 passes.
That's crazy.
Probably down the drag strip.
When you take,
basically, a local racer can run them a season.
That's reasonable. Now, the tires that you take off, they've got 75 passes on them. In theory, they've got 125 left. To run at the level that you're at, looking at the car and looking at the pictures and the stories that Andy's told me, your maintenance is pretty particular and pretty. It's on the high end. So those tires have been well taken care of, and it's not like they've been abused or anything. Is there a market for other racers that buy takeoffs like that, the same way that you have in the modifieds?
Absolutely. I mean, since Mickey Thompson's been handing me tires, I do the same. I hand them out.
Yeah.
I donate them to local friends or whatnot. When I would buy tires, I would sell them, but when I signed on with Mickey Thompson to help move do their deal, I would just absolutely. I have a line of people that are excited to get into those tires because they're going to run them for another 2 months. You know what I mean?
Right.
A local racer, but I try to keep things on the razor's edge myself.
Right. You kind of have to.
Yes, there is a market.
Sure. Interesting.
For the tires.
I like it, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us. Is there any final thoughts or anything else you want to share here before we cap it?
No, I think we wrapped up pretty good, Chris. Anytime you want to get me back on or we want to do something or whatever, we'll get over there and we'll get on the show with you and try to touch base again on what's going on around us, But let me get in touch with that date for Empire Dragway. It's called the Western New York 990 Series, and Western New York 990 Super Rod Series.
Okay.
And I'll get that date, and if we can make something happen with that, cool. If not, we'll be in touch.
All right, man. We will find a way to make something work. I don't know if that one will, but we'll certainly try.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, listen, I appreciate you getting in touch with me. Sorry I wasn't around last week and whatnot.
No worries. You had racing to do. Not worried at all. You had to go to Maryland for a race. Another one of those pesky racing commitments, right?
I went to Maryland and got my butt kicked, but it's all good.
Well, man, I appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us for a little while. We'll definitely be in touch. I appreciate it.
Take care, Chris.
We'll
Goodbye.
see you later, John. Take care. There goes Jon Pellicane. That's going to do it for this edition of the 31st Lap. We will be right back here again next week. We got some travel to do this weekend. Friday night, we're in New Alex, Pennsylvania. Saturday, we're in Hartford, PA. Monday and Tuesday, we're in Shenandoah County down in Woodstock, Virginia. We'll catch up with you here next week. For Jon Pellicane, thanks for listening. We'll see you then.